If you're feeling the pressures of life right now, and you're wondering, why am I going through this? You might be asking the wrong question. If you don't know who I am, my name is Remington Ramsey. I'm the creator of Real Producers Magazine. We have 130 locations nationwide and a podcast that is now top 5% globally of all podcasts. We've learned a thing or two from talking to hundreds of entrepreneurs and authors and speakers in the real estate space. When it comes to handling obstacles, one of my favorite images is one from Dr. Abraham Tversky in a lecture where he talks about lobsters. Lobsters are these mushy animals that have this hard, crusty shell. And in order to grow, they have to shed the current shell and then they grow into a new shell. And the process is that the lobster will do this several times over the course of their lives. In the lecture, Dr. Tversky talks about the fact that if a lobster was American, he would be prescribed a pill and never deal with what's ailing him. As soon as he starts to feel uncomfortable, he would get the pill and feel better and not deal with that obstacle. The catalyst for growth is actually pain. The catalyst for growth is the obstacle. Consider the implications of your own life. What are the most amazing moments of triumph in your own life? I'm guessing it was when you actually had an obstacle and found a way to overcome it. See, the greatest stories that we have come from the valleys. The mountaintops aren't quite as sweet without the valleys before them. And I do this all the time. What's interesting is in my own life, I realized that I was feeling pretty good about how I was handling objections, handling obstacles, things that came up in my own life. But then something new that I hadn't experienced before, I would have a negative attitude towards. If a lobster decided not to shed its shell, it would never grow. It would stay the same size. It would be a lot less protected from the wild. It would actually be a lot easier to hurt the lobster. Growth helps it survive. Growth is a survival tactic. And if the lobster refuses to grow, it will die before the lobster who decides to grow. In times of uncertainty, it's really easy to question why we are going through those things. One of my favorite quotes comes from a Holocaust survivor named Viktor Frankl. When we are no longer able to change our circumstances, we are challenged to change ourselves. What you're dealing with might not be as heavy as what we're talking about. It might be something small that's going on in your business. Maybe you've hit a sales rep. I'll tell you that when I first started the magazine, I heard one common objection every single time I had a sales appointment. Can you tell me if there's going to be an ROI? And better yet, print is dead, print does not work. I heard that over and over again. And the challenge with that was I didn't have a good answer. So I just prayed that I wouldn't get to the point where someone would ask me those two questions because I didn't know how to handle it. And I never got the results that I needed to when I decided to run from the pain. Then I decided, hey, I actually have a good answer for this. I actually do know the ROI. And I do know this because of my own businesses and my own experiences. And instead of waiting for the objection, I would attack it before they would even say it. Now, like the lobster, we're shedding that shell and we're growing into it and we're growing. Handling those objections is actually what got us to grow and go to print in the first place. So here's an obstacle that I fear most of us have been through at some point in our lives: losing your job. See, at first, it's that why God, why me moment. But then if you realize that listening to a podcast like this or being in environments with entrepreneurs, this might be the gift that you would have never seen as a gift because you'd still be at that job, not living your dream. This is your chance to build the business. And so just like the lobster, instead of saying, I'm just gonna go get another W-2, I'm just gonna go get another job to fill this pain. No, embrace this, understand why you're going through this and use it. Use the pain to propel you to success in business ownership. Here's the 3 practical steps that I can give you to address your obstacles head on. Number 1, recognize the signal. You are going to experience obstacles differently, and sometimes it's not gonna feel like the last one. And so you're gonna be negative. As soon as you start to feel negative, flip the switch and ask yourself, why am I going through this? Number 2, create the space to shed. The catalyst, remember, is pain. And what do you do with that pain? You shed that shell and you create a new one that you can then grow into. In this case, starting that business is not gonna be easy. You're creating that shell and you have to grow into becoming good at being a business owner. 3, plan the next stage. This is basically the what's next. Always be thinking about what's next, planning ahead, preparing for what's to come, and stop dwelling on what has already happened. You're already past that. move on to the next thing. By the way, if this hits home for you, drop a lobster in the comments and let me know what you're being called to shed right now. Maybe there's an obstacle that you didn't even realize you're dealing with, and you need to identify it and address it head on. And if you want more tools like this, go ahead and hit subscribe and follow along the Real Producers podcast. The next time you're feeling the pain of your situation, ask yourself, what is the gift that I'm missing here?